Amen. We want to thank everyone for coming. My name is Monique French. I'm the pastor here at Washington Heights United Methodist Church. And on behalf of Washington Heights and R.I.S.E, we just want to welcome you. R.I.S.E is hosting, Washington Heights, we're hosting, R.I.S.E is facilitating this meeting. And they asked me to open up with a word of prayer. Those of you who do not, how many of you believe in the power of prayer? Amen. Amen. So I'd like to pray so we can open this up and just invite the Holy Spirit to have his way. Gracious God, we just invoke your presence in this place. We ask that we decrease, you increase. Allow the conversation to uplift you. Lord, how can we come together as a community to do the things that are right and befitting your people? We ask that our ears be open, our hearts are open. Most importantly, we ask that you move in the midst. And it's in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. My name is Damon Brown, president of R.I.S.E. Y'all didn't know we was going to have church today, did you? And so thank you, Pastor, for opening up with prayer. And thank you for your leadership that you have brought to this church and to this community. We are here today to have what we are calling a community conversation. Community conversation that we want to have today is about our community, what we need in our community, thoughts, suggestions. This community conversation came about, R.I.S.E is a part of a cohort called CCG, Catalyzing Community Giving. And it's R.I.S.E along with 7 other organizations right now. And we are gearing up to act as philanthropists here in our community, especially for the BIPOC community, Black, Indigenous, and people of color. We know that there are some disparities, in our communities, in this country. And so we believe that, especially with COVID-19 and the murder of George Floyd and things like that, that it's a time that the narrative is changing. And we are a part of that change. And so again, I want to thank everyone for being here. The purpose again of the CCG is to again act as philanthropists here in our community, to be able to uplift the BIPOC community. And we're going to do that through several different ways. There are 4 pillars, if you will: education, mental health, food, and wellness. And each pillar, we believe, is essential to the livelihood of people, no matter what background or color you come from. We got to have food, healthy food. We don't eat, it's the Maslow hierarchy. If you're not getting your basic needs met, you can't think about doing other things. Also, education. That's how we advance as a community, as a people. It's through education, building off of each other. I feel that is the greatest form of freedom, is through education. Also, mental health. We all know mental health is extremely important, especially in the BIPOC community. Historically, we have been rooted in trauma. In order to heal, we have to be able to address the mental health aspect. And also, wellness, everyday living. What does our community look like? What's the narrative in our communities? Is it healthy? And so these are the things that we as CCG plan to address. And we have gotten some great support. United Way is sponsor. um, Kellogg Foundation. And so there are some great, some powerhouses that we feel that is behind this. And CCG, these groups are all over the world. And from what we're being told, the one right here in Battle Creek is trailblazing. And so we were very proud of that. And so again, this conversation is a part of this to be able to get input, be able to get feedback, suggestions. I always say that at the end of the day, nobody can tell us what we need in our community like us in the community. You know, and I feel that that has been where the disconnect has come from years, is that it seems like people from the top are telling us what we need and you don't even live in the community. And so we are the people that make up this community. And so we need to hear from ourselves, you know, what do we need? What do we want? What do we need for our elder? What do we need for our children? What do we need as far as education-wise, food, health? You know, R.I.S.E in Washington Heights, Hub of Hope has been doing food distribution for over a year now, along with St. Mark CME, Calhoun County Faith-Based Coalition, and so many other people that has all participated in what we do. And we have seen this program grow from starting off with 10 families, and now we're at 350 a week. And so we see a need in the community. Thank you. And we hear all the time when people come through the lines of suggestions and concerns and things of that nature. And so I know that coming in, we've asked everyone to kind of write down a question if you had one. And so we're going to ask some of those questions at the end. If you're not comfortable with us saying your name, that's fine. If we do bring up the question, you want to be acknowledged you did ask that question and want to, you know, expound on it a little bit more, that is fine. And so today's theme with our community conversation is, how can we become a stronger community? How can we become a stronger community? And when we say community, we always highlight the unity, because we feel like that is what makes a community, is the unity in it. And so, yeah, we want to start this conversation. And so we have some questions that we want to ask. If you want, feel free to raise your hand and we'll call on you. We can just dialogue. And we are recording this because we want to be able to go back and hear this, hear the concerns and suggestions and things of that nature, and to be able to do something about them. And this is not just another conversation, just another get together. This is really gathering real information, gathering data, so we can go back and get what we need for our community. And so again, please feel free to speak your heart, speak your mind, and get it started.
Testing. Yes, I remember when I was a young man, and I've seen a lot of changes. When I was a young man, I think what we need now for the young adults, I don't see nothing going on. When I was growing up, we had gyms open, we had the youth building open. It was just so many things for the young people to do. Now it seems like if you ain't got a pocket full of money, half the things you just can't do. You know, so.
Let me ask you a question, brother. Why is that important to you?
Because I've seen in my almost 70 years of life, when young folks had more to do, it was less crime in the street. I mean, the young people seem to care more about each other, because the most they squabbled about is basketball games or different things they were doing. And now it's all about fast money, where we gonna get this money at, and just the death and the killings. It didn't happen when I was growing up. I mean, it was bad, but it was something for kids to do. An idle mind, what's that saying, an idle mind?
The devil's playground. Yeah. No, thank you. Yes. Say that again. More respectful, yes. Yep. I agree. And I do want to put out there that we do, we have a resource room in the back, and there have been different individuals that's come out from different parts of the community. For instance, now we have the land bank here. Jim Hosmer's office has sent representative out, Paul back there. And excuse me if I miss you, but I know we have different city officials and individuals. Ms. Bonica is here, Ward 3 City Commissioner. Mayor was here, stopped in for a minute. And so, again, different resources. I know that people have different questions. I have some questions for the land bank. And so, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to raise those. Yes, sir, Mr. Blythe.
Thanks. Yeah, I could touch a little bit on what Michael was just saying, having grown up here in Battle Creek too, right down a couple blocks down. And you talk about community, but back then the community consisted of the city being part of it, the school systems being part of it. Michael's right, we ran summer playgrounds, and the city ran the summer playgrounds, but the public schools provided the teachers to help run those playgrounds. And you built a partnership then. The parents build a partnership with the students because they're with the teachers and with the city. Yes. Because there was always, and like Mike said, there was always something to do. You ran summer playgrounds for 6 or 8 weeks during the summer. From 9 to noon, the kids went home, and then later on, you had the lunch program. Yes. And then from 12 to 1, then from 1 to 4, the kids are back. The city provided the teachers, gym teachers would come and teach the kids sports, team sports. They even had, the art teachers came, we did arts and crafts, made the lanyards and things like that. They had a teacher that came through with music, and the kids sang and danced. So there was, every day of the week, there was something for those kids to do. Yes. But like I said, that was a partnership though, a citywide partnership. Yes. With the city, with the schools, and with the parents. So if you want to look at something to get back to, maybe they do look going back to some of those old things that worked. Yes. And see about bringing some of those things back.
Yes. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And just to say, I want to uplift Mr. Blythe. He might not want me to do this, but he's a pillar in this community. And during school, he was one of the people that really cared about us and stayed on us. And we thought he was always hard on us, but now we look back and realize that's what we needed. And you can honestly say that this man cares, and exactly what he's saying, it was more togetherness, it was more partnership that was going on. It was more community. And so, again, I just want to thank you for that, and again, uplift the great work that you've done here in this community for years. So thank you. So next question, given what was just said, what are the 2 or 3 most important issues or concerns that we see when it comes to a community, comes to our community? What are our 2 or 3 most important issues or concerns when it comes to the community?
I kind of want to go back to the first question that was asked, and we were talking about the community and how can we make our community stronger. I think that it's important for us as a community to care about our community. A lot of times, as I'm new to this community and I'm in the neighborhood and I'm looking around, I feel like people don't care about community like they used to. We used to take pride in the things that we have. We used to take ownership and pride and care about each other. If our neighbor next door or across the street, we knew they were elderly, we took care of them. We took a lot of pride in really being the community, and I think that we've lost that, and it's important for us to get back to that, to really take pride in our community and the things that we have, to take care of, to take care of the little that we have means a lot. Then to, one of the things that I always talk to the people here, no job is beyond anybody. If I see a piece of trash on the floor, I'm gonna pick it up. I'm not gonna say it's not my job to do it because I'm taking pride in the community. And I think that we've lost that because a lot of times we drive up on the parking lot and things that we see, you never would see that when I was growing up. things being left out in the parking lot, or just the trash and stuff left out on the streets. We were told to pick that stuff up. We were told to take pride in what we have. So I think that it's important for us to even think about it. And each one of us can reach one. It starts with us.
No, thank you for that. You're exactly right. And I think that a lot of times, so just like your own house, people come up your house, they see how you live. You see how you live, whether you take care of your home, and this is our home, taking care of it. Talk about, the parks, cleaning up behind yourself, not littering, looking out for our elder, our kids, making sure that, again, that we are looking out for each other. And real quick, I want to uplift the attendees from we got different cities officials and things like that in our resource room. Again, Land Bank is here, NAACP, Access Vision, A. Philip Randolph Institute, Popeyes, Bunika Herring, she's again a city commissioner, and she has her own business, Cake by Boo. City Commissioner Christine Blood, Carla Reynolds, Bender Foundation. We have a representative from the Health Department, and Dave Fish, a business owner, are all here. So again,
And
thank
Jamie,
you
we
for
have a
coming.
comment in the back as well.
Good evening. My name is Renee Dowdy. I moved here about 12 years ago to help take care of my father, Bill Dowdy, when he got sick. One thing I've noticed since I've been here is the homeless population. I'm originally from Benton Harbor, Michigan, and when I moved here, to see so many homeless people was a shock to me, and especially the men. And as I ride through the city, I look at all these schools that are just sitting vacant. And I ponder in my mind and my heart is, why are those buildings being utilized?
Yes.
Why they can't be part home shelters, apartments, teach skills. When I was in high school, graduated from the Ben Harbor High School, we had a building called the Skills Center. Now, the young people today, times have changed. You don't hear about candy stripers and future farmers of America, but we had those in my day. At the Skills Center, they taught the young men how to paint automobiles, how to work on them. We're in an age now where everything is computerized. So my main thing is, why we're not utilizing some of these abandoned schools and teaching some type of trade and skill. Computer classes. I'm not a computer whiz, but I'm learning. So my thing is, why we're not doing that? That's a big issue for me. Teach them some kind of skill, carpentry, plumbing, be an electrician. I've talked to a couple of homeless men and found out that they were just down on their luck. Hard times hit. But I found a young man from down at the shelter, because I'll go by there and when I need work done on my house or anything, and they're willing to come to help. And come to find out, this one guy was the master electrician. He did all my wiring, all over my house. Put up all my security cameras and everything. He's at my house now putting up ceiling fan. Now he's the only one I trust to come and do any wiring for me. But he learned that skill, and now he's homeless, sleeping in abandoned buildings. So I bought a rental house across the street. In the wintertime, I let him stay there. And he did all the wiring, all the painting. I fed him, and that was 11 years ago, and he's still part of my family. So my point is, let's find something for them to do. I'm quite sure we can get some computers donated from somewhere and teach them a trade.
Yeah.
Teach our young women how to carry themselves.
Ooh-wee.
Young men how to be manable,
Yes.
how to treat people.
Yes.
So I didn't mean to take up that much time, but I'm glad that I was able to come because I didn't know who else to go to and talk to about it and put it out in the atmosphere.
Yes, thank you. And this is exactly what this is for. This is the platform for that. And I will say, everyone is, lifting up the fact that we need more things here for youth, elder, for us all to do. You mentioned computer lab. Hub of Hope have a computer lab right here. I believe Tuesdays and Thursdays from 11 to 2, where individuals can come up and work on the computer here. And so, just getting this information out there, we need more things like this. It's funny because me and I'm gonna put Jeff on the spot real quick. Jeff Breedlove. We just had a conversation the other day around teaching these kids some trades. He has a construction company. It's a construction company, right? Okay. Yes. Construction company. And, obviously, know a lot of different skills, a lot of different, trades. And so, we need more roofers and plumbers and electricians. And one thing, college ain't for everybody. And these type of skills, they're marketable skills. And not only, can these kids, youth, individuals find jobs in these particular areas, but they can start their own business in these particular areas. That's what we're promoting.
Apprenticeship classes that will be coming up in some of those areas.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kyron Herring. I'm the Catalyst Coordinator for Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation in Battle Creek, Michigan. And one of the issues concerning the community, specifically this community, I found out pre-COVID in a meeting about the history of this area, right? And history has a big play into generational wealth and why primarily BIPOC communities are in certain parts of town. Now, I feel personally that this community has been, they need reparations, because if you're living in the same spot that your mother did before you and your grandmother did before you and your great-grandmother did before you, there's a lot of injustice that happened in this community that was ignored by the city because it was predominantly black. And I feel like those should be addressed now because the descendants are still facing that, that wealth gap that was they were set up, in my eyes, they were set up, right? The floods that happened, getting scammed out of not owning their homes. This used to be a community filled with homeowners. People took pride in their property because it was their property, right? But until they were pushed into land that floods more, right? A great flood happened, I want to say in the 1940s, there was a flood that happened here. And should I stand up? Okay. All right. Now everybody can see me. Hello.
Good.
All right. So there was a flood that happened here. And the insurance, basically, long story short, insurances didn't come through like they should. And people came in and said, hey, we can buy that off of you. You need the money? We'll buy it off of you. Yeah, but you're going to have to rent it from us for the rest of your lives.
Yeah, wow.
What choices do you get when stuff like that happens? And like I said, many of the descendants of those people still reside here today. How would you think that impacts somebody if you don't have land to pass on, if you don't have wealth or money to pass on, if you're constantly renting, if you're constantly in debt, and you're constantly just trying to fight to get food on the table, right? Because you're living in rundown places, especially in times where landlords could really get over you, right? Yeah. Especially if you're black. They're going to really ignore you, right? They lived in a nice part of town. They didn't care what went on. They didn't care if your roof was leaking. They didn't care if it collapsed. Right? So that a lot of times personal money had to go into that to make sure you didn't have mold in the house or that you didn't have an infestation. So all of that took away from the wealth that would have been passed down and inherited by their descendants, which is why we still see that same struggle going on today. So I feel like since we have so many documents that show how the city failed the people of Washington Heights area, there needs to be a form of reparations, right? If you go in there and say, hey, my family has lived in this house for the past 50, 60 years, then I feel like you should be compensated for that, right? You should be compensated for the money and the property that was stolen from your grandparents and your great-grandparents. And that's just an issue that I had noticed looking at, there's some local historians that had put together a timeline of the city, primarily about, BIPOC communities. And I also noticed something else peculiar that happened in the 1800s, between the early 1900s and the late 1800s. And something happened in the city that made the black population go from 7,000 to less than 20. And there's a gap there, right? Something happened where the black community tried to get something approved, right? There was black doctors here. There was a black striving businesses, right? There was wealth being built here. And they somehow, on this timeline, it said within that time period, the Reconstruction era was happening. They went and presented the city with an idea. They were denied flat out. And all of a sudden, this large growing population of wealth went down to 20. At the time in the meeting, I was just like, okay, did nobody notice this? Like this large gap in the census? Like where are these families? Somebody older at the time, I don't even remember who they are, but I remember she was quiet the whole meeting until that part came up. And she said, you know what, when I was a little girl, I remember my grandmother telling me how everybody went away. Everybody moved. Something happened, right? And the black population did not build back up until the World War I or II? Yes, World War II, they came out to the fort, right? And that's what built the black population up. But something happened there, right? And the descendants of whatever happened still reside. That woman could clearly remember that as a little girl, she was told that it used to be black businesses and then all the black people scattered. So what happened? Why did they get denied for trying to build? I want to say they were trying to unionize, right? They were trying to build something to guarantee that, they could keep their businesses successful, keep their black community thriving, but they were denied. So I feel like if the history and the records are going to reflect that there was something done to the city and that there was rights being denied, property being stolen, what's the term for it? Being screwed out of what? Oh. I'm trying to say, we in the house of the Lord, I'm not trying to say that, but being screwed out of things that are rightfully theirs that they should have had access to, having all the black doctors not being able to be in the community, having, black business owners, being bought out and basically pushed out, that has effects, right? The wealth gap, you can see it nationally, how that affects black people and how a lot of black people do not get generational wealth. Like, actually, we get passed on debt. That is how low it is. We get passed on debt before we get passed on wealth. I have been fortunate enough that I have generational wealth, but I got to make sure that doesn't stop with me and it keeps on going. And that means it doesn't mean that I have any less concern for those who didn't get the same access, right? Because there is privilege within that. So if I could use my privilege to notice out that somebody else isn't getting privilege, especially, kinfolk, yeah, it definitely needs to be brought up. And I feel like the city should bring up, hey, why did we deny the people of the Washington Heights area, like, the rights to unionize and get together and have something? Because it happened. It's on record. These records are available. Where are they at? It's like literally hidden in like a secret library cave that's somewhere in, I want to say the sanitarium, the old sanitarium. Yes, what is that building?
Oh, the old Fieldstone.
Okay, yes. Okay, I'm loud enough. Yes, so there was literally, it's hidden in there. It's just right in there. You can walk in, you can literally, I guess when they were open, I don't know how COVID affected that, but there's literally all this information, because they told me, like, oh, you can, if you like history, because I do, you can go in there and look for yourself and see it. So if we have all these records sitting around, right, about city denying, property being bought out for way under its value and then not being kept up, that should be looked at, that should be presented, and something has to be done about it. So.
Well, there is a thing. I don't know if anybody's ever watched the documentary 13. It's a great documentary that I feel explains the the origin of prisons like I've seen no other. Like, it's a great documentary, and it's called 13th. Also, there's a thing called School to Prison Pipeline, where there's systems set up, for these things to happen. And so, yes, they definitely needs to be addressed. I know right now there's a program going on to where they are expunging felonies. I am in the process of getting my felonies expunged. And anyone that may need help with that, please feel free to reach out to me. I know that Ms. Tuggle and them are doing some things with it as well. So there are different organizations and people that can help you to fill out the paperwork, give you the information necessary to be able to get your felonies expunged, or at least attempt to get them expunged. And it's not a hard process. It just takes a little patience, a little time, and for you to get off your butt and go get it done. And so...
I think Bonica wanted to say something when we first started out, and then I'll. Yeah.
I'm Shirley Tungo. I've been in Battle Creek all my life. Anyway, I've been in Battle Creek all my life. And so some of the things the young lady was talking about, some I remember, some I don't. But I know back then we were a community, we came together, we worked together. And some of you remember Hamlin Community.
I'm sorry. It won't. We hate to interrupt you, but it won't be able to pick you up if you don't talk in the mic.
Yeah, well, the mic is not on, I don't think. Yeah. Is it? Okay. Yeah.
That's a different mic.
Oh, you didn't change it out?
Mm.
It is on? Okay,
It's on.
we good to go. Okay, all right. Great.
Hamlin Community Center. Okay.
Yes.
When my cousin over here, Blythe, was talking about the youth, we ran our own youth programs through the center. We were open almost 7 days a week. And we not only had youth athletics, we had education, tutoring, cooking. We ran debutantes for our young ladies and our young men. What I'm going to ask is, I don't know a whole lot about this grant. Is it possible, to develop a youth corps? A youth corps. As we walk around Washington Heights, I see a lot of jobs that young people could have. That is picking up litter, helping to cut lawns for the elderly, paint houses, learn a trade. If there is any way to fund that, that would go to help our community in a large effort. And I want to take this time to thank Damon Brown, Pastor French, Jackie, Patrick, James for their efforts. You just don't know how much effort they have put into this community.
Thank you.
What you referred to earlier when you were saying that is that they used to have the summer youth employment programs. And that used to take care of that. Even though it was a government-run program,
Yes.
we used to take the kids out doing that exact same thing.
Yes.
The only stipulation was that it had to be run through a nonprofit.
Yes.
And being run through a nonprofit, we'd get those youth age, 15 and on up to 17. At 18, they could be supervisors, but the youth 15 to 17 were able to come in and do the cleanup that she talked about. Like Washington Heights at that time had a group of kids that did just what she said.
Yes.
They came around and they cleaned up the community. They went through and they did cleanup projects. And it went on throughout the entire city, but Washington Heights did have that at one time.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's possible that you just have to go back and, like I said, it was one of those old things that you need to look at that took place and made these communities great at that time.
Yes.
And you need to go back and just look at some of that, like the young lady was talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but thank you for uplifting that. Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you for uplifting that. And it is like these are the things that we sit back and we talk about. And we're all seeing these issues. That we need these different things. We think about, for instance, an example, you know, an elderly program where we are cutting the grass, wintertime, shoveling the walkway, putting salt down. Some of these houses that may be code compliance is messing with about the chip paint. We can put a program together where the kids are painting these houses, the trim, you know, for the elder and different people. You know, I mean, it's endless possibilities. And to me, old school is always the best way. You know, we've gotten away from that old school way of doing things. We need to get back to it.
Okay, so I am Commissioner Bunika Herring for Ward 3, and hopefully that's on. So I just want to let everyone know there is a minor home repair program through the city of Battle Creek right now that does funding of up to $5,000 per household to take care of some of these issues that your homes may have. There is also, last I checked, there was paint available for people that had code compliance violation for peeling and chipped paint, as well as some other resources. So on behalf of myself and the mayor and Commissioner Kristen Blood and Commissioner Carla Reynolds, please reach out to us. This is a new commission, and this commission is dedicated to this community of Battle Creek, and we want to help you. I've taken 100 phone calls this week about issues in Battle Creek, and we ask those questions at those tables that you're not at. So please let us help you. You can reach us on the City of Battle Creek page, or you can grab one of us by the coattail or the shirt, and we'll talk to you. We're all approachable. We're looking to help this community, not just one side of town or not just our ward, the entire community of Battle Creek.
We're going to keep moving along. Damon will be right back in a second, but what we want you to think about is how do the issues we're talking about... Okay, I'll start all over again. We're going to keep moving, but we want to think about how do the issues we're talking about affect you or us personally? What personal type experiences you may have had? How about the people around you? Family, friends, co-workers, neighbors, others. What do you see them experiencing? Are some people affected more than others? Who? In what ways? And why? So what I really want you to think about is how do the issues we're talking about affect us personally?
Hi, my name is Roy Schaefer. I work at the Share Center. I'm the men's director. And the young lady back here that brought up the homeless people, I work with them. Okay. I work with them people day in and day out when I'm down at the Share Center. And we try and do our best to help as many as we can get into homes. A couple of weeks ago, I moved a couple of vets and one of the homeless gentlemen who was in a group home at the time into his own apartment. And I try to keep, you know, and the best way I can say it is I keep my eye on the Lord through it all, okay? And sometimes it gets really tough. I'll just put it that way, all right?
Right. So, next question. When you think about what we've talked about, what are the kinds of things that could be done that would make a difference? So what kind of things do we think could be done to make a difference? When we think about all the things that we've talked about. Yes, sir.
One of the things we could do to help the homeless is buy some of these houses that are vacant and empty and fix them for them.
Yes.
Keep it low income, because a lot of them do not have income because they're out there on the street.
Yeah.
And if they do have it, it's far between because they get their Social Security and they'll wind up losing it because they're homeless. I thought I'd bring this up and see what anyone else had to say about it.
No, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate it.
And the city is currently working on issues to address the affordable housing issues in Battle Creek. There are developers and the city, and we're working together to see what we can do.
I think one of the other things you need to do also is you can't just give them a home or fix up a home. You have to teach them how to take care of it. You have to teach them how to get a job so that they can support themselves afterwards, because just giving them something isn't going to work.
Amen. I kind of wanted to jump in there and piggyback on what was said, but coming from a different perspective. We talked about a lot of different issues, and I think partnering, making good partnerships and creating programs and shattering systems. I think that all those things are very important. I think most important, getting involved, not being silent anymore, stepping up and getting involved and creating, bringing back some of those old programs that worked and making a difference in people's lives. I think starting with our children and sparking that creativity that our children had, letting them know that there are no limits to what they can do, and igniting that potential that each person has inside of them. I think that bringing about things that worked, I think that makes a difference.
Okay. Hi. I was trying not to say anything, but y'all just make me do this. Couple of things. I do agree wholeheartedly with what's been said on what is needed in the community. I think a few things happened. First of all, when they started cutting down programs to where, if I want to just use an example of a social worker, where in the day when they did have the money flowing, they had maybe a social worker having maybe, I'm just doing an exaggeration, 10 people to work on in doing that. Then they reduced the number of people working, and all of a sudden the workload became 100 people. And then, so it's impossible. Follow-up is what I wanted to mention on after the lady said about teach them how to do this, get in there, and then make sure they know how. That's called follow-up. And follow-up means having people in position that will be able to do that. And a lot of times, people who are retired, people who actually want to help with the community, the young people, whatever is going on in the city to make it better, they would help our community by being able to have the opportunity to do that. Safety is another thing that's necessary wholeheartedly, but when I look at it, I had not always spoke about or felt money was an issue, the economic resource. But now I'm to a point of saying you can volunteer all you want to forever and wear yourself out, and if you're not compensated for it, you just get a thank you, and they don't worry about you. Your family has to have a way to actually survive while you're doing your volunteer work. Your rents keep going up. Everything keeps going up. They don't care. They just say, pay it, and you do it. So there's two things. The point of having people who are able to contribute well to that community and that environment, the resources they need to actually do that, the follow-up that's necessary, and anyone who gets, who are able to get the opportunity to take advantage of the housing or whatever, and the safety for sure. So, all right, I think I'm through.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Anyone else? This young lady has something.
Hi, my name is Miana Mutan. I am a health ambassador and health technician at the Calhoun County Health Department. I have lived in Battle Creek my entire life. I am a Lakeview graduate. My family's not originally from here. My mom's side originated out of Mississippi, my dad's side out of Louisiana. Growing up, everything was like I had to go to college. college was the goal. I never knew that there were other trades or other things that you could be taught and make a living off of outside of school. I have messed up in school for the last 8 years, even though I'm still trying to push and go through it, but, you know, it's not for everybody, and it's very evident with the young people, and I feel like we're not being told that there are other options outside of school. It's always just college this, college I get the degree. But there are people who have a master's and bachelor's and are not in the field that they got their master's or bachelor's in. So we as a people need to teach our kids that there are other options outside of school. And kids are going into debt for nothing. Getting this degree, I'm paying all this money, and I'm not getting anywhere. So I feel like we need to let our children know that there are other options.
Yes. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you for uplifting that. Appreciate it. And it seems like that is a common theme here amongst everybody, and we definitely recognize that. I also want to uplift a few more attendees that we have. Thank you. I know the mayor was here at one point. He stepped out. Kay Smith from the Lions Club. Patty Poole Gray from the Battle Creek Public School Board. Catherine LaValle, also from the Battle Creek Public School Board. Thank you both for coming. Alicia Johnson, Dr. Alicia Johnson, excuse me. Put some respect on that. She represents, she has her own practice, Eudaimonia, and also represents Bronson, BC. We have Pastor William Bell, Doctor, put some respect on it, from St. Mark's CME Church, and also with the president of Calhoun Community Faith-Based Coalition, and what's the other one? United Community Ministers Alliance. Yes. Say that, United Community Ministers Alliance, UCMA, yes. And also, again, Miss Shirley Tuggle, who's the president of the Battle Creek National Association of Negro Business Professional Women, Inc. All right. And so, again, thank you all for coming as well. I just want to make sure we uplift those people as well. I'm concluding this here, the conversation, and we have a couple more questions we want to ask. So thinking back over the conversation, what groups or individuals would you trust to take action on these things? And why them? What group or individuals would you trust to take action on these things that we've talked about here tonight?
Okay.
So who do you trust?
So my name's Kristen Blood, and I feel I've only lived in Battle Creek now for about 7 years, and I feel the answer to that is ourselves, no one, right? It's hard. As I've become a leader in the community and as a commissioner, one of the things I hear talking to people and going around is the Battle Creek motto: you do first, ask later. And so perfect example was Upholdings coming into Washington Heights, wanting to build a building and not having a conversation locally. And I want to, as a leader, first say I am sorry for the history of leaders not listening. I can't go back and fix it, but I can tell you that I want to be held accountable for what I'm doing now and moving forward. And we, Bunika, myself, Carla, the mayor, everyone else, we are elected because you put us here. We're not here because we get paid a lot. We don't. And we're not here because we got to choose ourselves. We were chosen to be here by you, by the community. And there is a lack of trust. And I'm fed up with it. I feel we should be able to trust our government. Our local government is where it starts. And we talk about being involved. Be involved. Hit up her phone, hit up my phone, hit up her phone, hit up anybody's phone. Call us, come to the meetings, watch the meetings. If we don't vote how you want to, I want to see a call from you the next day. I want to see you knocking on my door the next day. My address is listed. Come to my house and say, let's talk. What do you know that I don't know? I want us to be held accountable. Her vote counts, her vote, all of us, our vote counts. But we need to hear from you. You know, this listening event, thank you, Damon. It is amazing, and I appreciate you sending this to all commissioners for us to be here. I'm saddened that not everybody could be here, but these are the kind of conversations we need. I need to have pages of notes to go back and say, where did this go? How did we lose it? Where are the dollars being spent that used to be? I know budgets are tight, but we have an influx of ARPA money coming in, $31 million. Can we have another youth center? Can we have a core center? And hold us accountable. Do not let us have your vote and then not be held accountable. And so, yes, we need to, because we represent you, the people in this room, the people that live in this area. We represent you. I may be from Ward 1, but guess what? My vote impacts right here too. Yes. And I need to know you, and I need to hear from you. I'm getting red in the face because this makes me all emotional, but this is what it is. Yeah. We have to be a community. We have to be the village. We have to be lifting people up. When we see a kid getting out of rule, we don't go, oh, I'm not his mom. Absolutely not. Kyron was told to take notes, and I'm over here going, are you taking your notes? Because I'm part of her village now. I know her mama, and I know what's going to happen if she don't have her notes done. Yes. And it takes a village. When you see someone who's older and a neighbor who needs something, go over. Don't be afraid. What's the worst that can happen? That's my motto, guys. What's the worst that can happen? They say, don't mow my lawn. I don't want it mowed. Okay, well then don't mow their lawn, or do it when they're not home so they don't know it was you. So anyways, thank you for coming out. Thank you for your honesty. And again, I am sorry if in the past, in the government here locally, there is a form of distrust. But if we need to be one person to change the next person, then we're going to do it here. We're going to start with this conversation. We're going to start with the CCG. We're going to start with the village. And these conversations are going to impact, because we need to be heard. And we need to take it up the chain, and we need to hold each other accountable. That's it. I'm sorry.
Thank you. And I just want to say that I am proud of the commission that we have right now, the city commission that we have right now. I believe that it speaks to the true identity of the community. And there are some strong women on there. Yep, I love that. And so I just think that this is a tale of the future, you know, and what's to come. And I know that the brains there are brilliant, and just looking forward to seeing what comes out of that. And I feel like they really pay attention to the voice of the people. And so that's what's needed. It's not politics as usual. And so, again, is anybody else thinking back over the conversation, what groups or individuals would you trust to take action on these things? You got something?
Just in support of all the strong women that are here, the people who have commanded the ability to maintain our families comes from the feminine side of our existence. So God bless you all. I don't think the democratic process is really coming true, and I don't know why we can't elect a queen. We wouldn't have to worry about all this money that's going into all these slush funds and stuff. Listen, I just wanted to simply say I'm just a proletariat. I'm a grassroots person, grew up in Battle Creek. I've always loved this community because there was no division. There was a time that Battle Creek is too small to have the east and west side and that sort of thing. So we all looked out for one another. Being just a regular brother off the street, I was blessed with the ability to help start the Habitat for Humanity summer paint program. It was just an idea I brought from Kalamazoo. We ended up hiring 20 kids who worked throughout the summer. We painted 20 houses in each summer and only had one kid that quit, and that was because of gang pressure. he wasn't allowed to work in one neighborhood. But the thing that I miss with Brother Bobby and the Blythe family and the Wilsons and the Greens and the Brown, the Parkers, and I mean, this neighborhood used to thrive because we loved one another. We didn't, my thing that I'm working with in terms of with young people are their language and litter. Just two quick, simple, easy things. If I could just get them to be more cognizant of how they carry themselves out in public. I'm not ashamed of the new way that we're living, but the old morals and values and the patriotism that existed when we said the Pledge of Allegiance, we meant it. When they took prayer out of school, I think that took something out of our morality levels. And so the gray areas are difficult to deal with because back in the day we had boundaries. If I was caught in somebody else's yard, with somebody else's daughter, I heard about it. I might have gotten whipped twice, when by the time I got home, I knew I had it coming. And so I appreciate this gathering of people and ideas that each one teach one is significant. All of us can do. And I know that many of us are frightened to approach our young people because some of them are difficult to deal with. But we were too. It took somebody with a stronger constitution to step in. I remember the Recondo group and what excellent examples they were in our community so that young men had some visibility, something to pursue in terms of an adequate male role model. So God bless you all that you have come, different sizes, shapes, backgrounds, neighborhoods, genders, ethnicities and stuff. The truth and the purpose of our creation is that we give him all the credit, or however you have it in your mind that creation came from. But each other is the second thing. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy mind, body, and soul. And the second is like unto that. We should love our neighbor as we love ourselves.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Real quick, she want to give you the microphone real quick. Yeah.
I'm Loretta Lee. I live at 142 Greenwood.
Yes,
my concern is cars racing up and down Greenwood to Jordan, back and forth. And my concern is not only for me, but the children that leave the park and walking around here, somebody's going to get hurt. And it's no certain time of the day, and that's a big concern. And the other thing is loud music.
Yes.
Partying, covering all the streets, not just the sides of the street, but all down the center of the street as well. So I have a big concern about that.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for uplifting that. And, we do, again, have our city commissioners here. They hear these type of things. We're talking about speeding up and down the street. Maybe that's something, we looked into, maybe speed bumps. I don't know. It's just, a conversation that could be had to see what can happen. And so that's been uplifted, and we definitely want to, address that.
And I'll make
You had something, Bonica?
No, I was just going to say, I'll make sure that I note that because we do take complaints about the speeding and they are being addressed. It's Greenwood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I live on, my voice is loud. I live on Gardenia Street in Orchard Park, and we have a daycare. We got a lot of signs up and down both sides of the street, saying stuff like drive like your kids live here and stuff. And it's like it makes the people speed up or something. And we're scared somebody's going to get killed on my street. Like, seriously, it's an issue. We were talking about this before we came here today. I was telling my wife, you might not want to bring that up. They don't want to hear about people speeding up the street.
I don't know
but
why.
Somebody else brought it up because, it's a real concern for us.
It's our community. It's a hazard. And so, and a lot of time people don't address these things until it happens to them. And so, let's not, let's address it before it happens to any of us. Anyone else? Okay. And so, real quick, so if we came back together in 6 months or a year, what might you see that would be an indication? What would you see as an indication that things that we talked about tonight were starting to happen?
More people would be here tonight.
More people will be here tonight? Okay.
Increased communication with the local government officials in the city.
Okay. Anyone else? Again, yes.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Seeing a program being put into place for our young people.
Yes, thank you.
I would also like to add, seeing a life changed, seeing the impact that it have on the individuals. Nothing beats a testimony. If somebody was to come and share how much something that we talked about, that we implemented, how much of a difference it made in the individual's life. Nothing beats a testimony.
Amen. Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
You know what I noticed? I look around the room and I see a whole lot of older people. What I think should happen is we need to develop a young folks coalition.
Absolutely.
A lot of the young folks, they're not listening.
That's what says speak for yourself.
They're not listening to us because they look at the older folks as causing the problems.
Yeah.
And I've noticed since this virus and stuff, the young folks are making their voices heard now all over the world. I mean, they got countries being rose up there. The young folks are getting tired of it. And I'm finding out the young folks are listening more to each other than listening to me. Or, you the one been, y'all, you know, they look at us as actually destroying this place. You know, we should start a young folks coalition. Let the young folks talk to the other young folks. I believe they would listen to them more. That's what I believe.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
I'd like to see a program in place for expungement.
Say that again.
A program in place for expungement.
Okay. What would that look like to you, Ms. Tuggle?
A committee who would start the review of the person's application, because the new law in place now, it's a two-tiered entry, and you really do need a lawyer. And we have the free lawyer consults, Bonica, what is South Central Michigan, Lower, and you really do need a lawyer, because when you make the first application, if you make it to A or B, they don't fit your case, then you have to wait another year or two before you could file your application again. So if we had a committee in place to review with a lawyer, that we could help our people expunge.
Yes. Thank you.
Judge Thomas, yes, she was on our workshop. This is being spearheaded by...
And she's the attorney that you
Yes.
speak of? And what's her name again?
Deborah, Judge Deborah Thomas.
Okay.
She is out of Detroit. And this was started by the Battle Creek branch of the Delta Sigma Theta sorority. But other groups are jumping in now. And so for Battle Creek to have a committee to look forward to get these people and move them through the process would be a beginning. Because if your record is expunged, you get a better job. You're able to help your family.
Yes.
Better housing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And all that. So I'd like to see that in 6 months.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
I like to ask a question, and I know this is totally like off script, but I'm gonna ask the question anyway. So is this conversation helpful? Okay. So if we were to have the conversation again, would you all come back and bring a friend? Because I think that it's important for us to continue to have these conversations so that we can make this community, stronger, so that we can make a difference. If we want to do it monthly, someone said monthly. Okay. So we'll look at some dates. We'll try to come back, but we need to come back together and have more of these conversations and not just talk about it, but be about it. Let's do something, make a change.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And I just want to say one thing for this young man make his comment. I think it's important that we continue the momentum. The way that I believe in the art of manifestation. And this is how we manifest things. You know, all the things that we're talking about right now, community centers, different programs, these are how the ideas are sparked and they become to fruition. And so I just want to keep encourage that we keep doing this, keep talking about it, and keep pushing forward. Mr. DeMarcus.
I just wanted to alliterate on what she had said about the programs. There's something I found out that I wish I would have known a long time ago. I did a little sit down to where, when I got out, I didn't know about life. I didn't know how to write a check. I didn't know how to write a cursive. Barely knew how to read before I went in, you know. So I heard about something where people that get put in my situation can get bonded. It's a little system where you can get insurance for the job that you go apply for. The first 6 months, the person is the insurance free, no pay. After that, the insurance is the same as if they were a regular individual. A lot of people come home and they can't get a job because of certain situations.
Yeah.
And most of it, people think it's because of their background. It's not. It's because of their insurance they'll have to pay for hiring you. A lot of people come home and don't know that they can get bonded and know that that won't stop them from getting a job.
Yes.
You know, there's like a program where it should be where people who come home should get a little bit more information. There's a lot of young people my age who go back to the streets because honestly we have no, you know, I hate to say it like that, but we ain't got no choice. We try to get a job and they shut us down. They shut us down repeatedly over and over and over because of what we did. You know, and then most of the time, like I have had people tell me it's because of the insurance that they would have to pay to hire me. Yeah. You know, it's because of what I did and how much my past will hold on what I did.
Yeah.
So I just feel like it should be a program where people like me or people like my brother or people who come home who don't know about certain things, don't know that when they come home they can get a loan. Don't know when they come home they can get a grant for this, that they can start their lives on a fresh start instead of starting where they stopped at.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
We need a better support system. Hold on, I got to go to Miss Carla.
Real quick, Miss Jackie came around and passed some cards to the R.I.S.E logo on there. These are just, we want to get your thoughts on how do you feel about tonight's conversation. Just, you know, your feelings leaving. It could be one word. And so just your feelings leaving or thoughts leaving. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Of course, I'm Commissioner Carla Reynolds. I know most of everyone. You cannot hear me? Okay, thank you. I'm Commissioner Carla Reynolds at large here in the city of Battle Creek. And I'm just really concerned. I got some news the other day that Calhoun County has only 40% rate of COVID shots. I am so disappointed. We have to protect one another and our community. We really, really need to focus on bringing and getting the message out to get these vaccines because we've got a huge virus out here now, a strain that's not good. It's traveling all over, guys. So we really need to help and get everybody vaccinated. We've got so many different avenues where you can go. You can just drive up. In KCC's parking lot, you can just drive up there without getting out of your vehicle and get vaccinated. But that is so important. We need to protect one another so that we could open back up and be a community and be involved and do what we need to do in our community.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate that.
Hi, how are you? You know, the new Delta strain, I think it is. Calhoun County, I was so sad to hear that, but there has been a case has been identified in small Calhoun County. So please get your vaccination. I'm an ambassador for that, okay? Good night.
Thank you.
Okay, I've been quiet back here, but I think our urgent or the emergent needs are important, housing, education. But I think another challenge we have is how do we keep talent here? So Battle Creek I was just talking to my dad about this the other day. We build strong talent here. We do. We can all probably think of people we went to school with who have moved away, and they're doing really big, successful things, Grammys and working for celebrities. The challenge is we have to figure out how do we keep talent here. And one thing that we don't do as much of is nurture our social health, right? So I think the urgent and the emergent needs are important, but for some of us, the things that we think about are, what is there for me to do, right? And I love Battle Creek, and I'm here, right? And I'm invested in my community, but I would be lying if sometimes I have thoughts about whether or not I want to go somewhere else because I want my social needs met as well. and for our kids, right? I think about my son and what would he have to do, right? So I think that's something we also want to put on the table is what can we do to nurture our social health?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for uplifting that. Good. All right.
Well, one of the things that I overheard was a comment about. Oh, why did I stand up? Goodness, you know it hurts to stand. Anyway, one of the comments I heard today about like youth and youth involvement, I will say yes, it is a struggle. There is a gap between the generations of baby boomers and millennials and Generation Z, right? I'm at that weird cusp where I'm not really a millennial, I'm not really Gen Z. I didn't grow up on tablets, but yet I didn't grow up before 9/11. And that was kind of like the defining moment of generations. My generation, the reason why we act like this is because we have been desensitized over the years to tragedy, right? 9/11 happened before we were born. When I grew up, none of us cared about it. I hate to say it. We did not feel that sense of movement, that trauma from it. School shootings, we had drills every week at the school I went to. You know, that kind of that feeling of like, you know, hey, that's kind of y'all problem and not us can kind of be there. And that's where there's the gap. Like the older generation, they're like, why don't you care? Well, I had to go through this. But then in our minds, it's like, well, things are different. You know, you could get gas for 80 cents then. You know, the minimum wage has only changed in a few, right? Like the idea of gas being 80 cents just really is a mind blower right there. Like I just cannot imagine that. Like the lowest I've ever seen gas is like $2.90. And that's exactly it. That is exactly it. So another reason I would say, well, if you look at like the market for things, right? My grandparents, they were able to come here and from the 70s, from the South, right? They were able to get a factory job, stay in that factory job for 40 plus years, got insurance benefits, was able to buy their own property, own land, multiple properties, build wealth. That is no longer accessible to us. The minimum wage has not changed in like a lot over like the past 30 years. It's only by a few dollars, yet the prices of housing, the prices of living have skyrocketed. It does not match up. So it might not look like we care because we've been desensitized to these things, but we're understanding that by 2055, California will no longer be dry land, right? That's the thing that concerns us. Global warming, like seriously, it will be underwater and nobody talks about it. Global warming, we're living on a dying earth, right? My grandchildren might not ever see bees, right? There is literally stuff going extinct every single day. So that's what us youth worry about. So it might not seem like we care because there's that disconnect, but we care. We just need to have a certain approach about it, right? We're more likely to listen to other young people, right? Sometimes, because I know, like, I have respect for my elders, don't get me wrong, but sometimes when you hear about, well, I went through that, I was your age once, it's like, okay, but that was a different time. These issues that we have now, you know, they might be similar issues, but we're faced with more and more hardship, right? Because, like I said, not being able to afford to live, right? The cheapest apartments here, you gotta pay $800-something a month for a one bedroom, right? Literally the size of some prison cells, right? Barely bigger than that. Yet we gotta pay $1,000 a month in bills for that. That was not seen in the 80s, in the 90s, the 70s, all of those generations. They did not see that, right? So we're in a crisis. So we do care about these things, and we are vocal. We also take over the internet, right? We go viral. We know how to reach out people like us. So if we're gonna have youth community programs, youth need to be at the center of that, right? At my job, I don't include anybody over the age of 30 when I discuss youth things. I don't. Yes. And even still, she got to be at the back seat of it. Because if we're talking about youth, I need 30 and under, right? I need millennials and Gen Z, right? If I come to someone talking about youth, I go to the 14-year-olds. Talk to them. They're not children. You might think they're children, but we're exposed to a lot of stuff in this day and age. They're not children. They're here. They're ready. They want to talk. I have met so many young, beautiful, intelligent black women, like mini-me's, honestly, young women, 14, 15. They're trying to get out here. They're trying to make a difference. If you're, let's say, 17 and you've been in and out of jail or in and out of foster care and you just don't know what to do with your life, you don't want to listen to someone tell you, oh, I went through that 30 years ago. You want to listen to someone who's going through it now. I got friends in prison, right? And I make sure I keep up with them because their mental health is declining. My friend is 19 in a prison cell, and they're just talking about, oh, we might let you out this year. He's been in there 2 years. 2 years. They put a suicidal child in a cell in isolation because, oh, he's a little too mouthy. He's not respectful enough. Oh, because he was there when they had a fight during a spades tournament, and now he's getting put in isolation for 3 days. You know, how much of a toll does that take? Who talks to him in there, huh? Who's going to be there for him? I don't know anything about prison. I'd cry at the thought of stealing bubble gum. Yet here I am having to talk to someone because to disconnect, who's older going to talk to him, right? I have to try to find other people and resources to talk to. I literally had to contact the parole board on his behalf because he doesn't know how. Like the thing about not knowing how to do a check, not knowing how to do that, I have to find out for him, right? Because it's easier to come to another youth about that than to come to someone who you think, oh, they're going to judge me, they're just going to talk down at me, they're going to give me a lesson. I don't give them a lesson. When I want to connect with him, I ask him, how's your mental health doing? How's your spiritual health doing? Are you praying still? Are you meditating? I'm looking up and researching ways of how to, in isolation, learn how to not dwell on the fact that you're literally not seeing sunlight. He goes days without seeing sunlight. I could not imagine that. And even on the people that come back outside, I hate to say it, I can almost see that it's just set up against them. So we don't, instead of having, I get it, the importance of OGs and, you know, having elders to talk to is great, but we also need to get somebody young. Get somebody 25 that went to prison and came back, right? Have them talk to 17-year-old and 18-year-olds about how it's not cool to gangbang, how it's not cool to ride around with your friends, and how it's not cool to just keep your mouth silent when you see stuff that bothers you, right? We need to do that. It needs to be normalized. If we, the youth that want to speak up, if we normalize it, we can bring all of the other people along, but we're going to have the elder support, right? We're going to have the older generation support. They got to realize we are no longer children, right? You know, I'm my mama's child, but I'm not a child. I'm grown. When it comes to certain things, I'm grown. I take care of business. I have my own career, have my own business, right? I still, you know, and I still get questioned in my line of work. I still get the comments, oh, what do you know about community stuff? I've been in this community since 6, working on the front lines, volunteering. I've seen it. I've seen all parts of town. I've volunteered in all parts of town. But I still get discredited by my age. And I hate to say it, it's from those older generations, right? I have to fight for my spot, and I shouldn't have to, because the proof is in the pudding, right? Yeah. So we need, if you really want to get behind us and see more youth involvement, lift up those youth. Yeah. Lift up. Don't talk down to us. Just lift us up. Say, hey, this youth knows something. Yeah. I'm going to step back and just, you know, let it happen. You know, I don't have to intervene. I don't have to be the forefront of a youth movement, because that doesn't make sense, right? If you're 50-something and leading something youth, right? Why would they want to listen to that? That just sounds like a snooze fest. So, just saying. I'm sorry. I did mean it. But it's at the same time, you know what I say? I'm just trying to say, you just got to make sure those youth voices, if you want to hear them that badly, you need to make sure it's youth pushing them up. Yeah. Just be the background. You don't have to be at the forefront. You don't have to be the ones teaching them. Yeah, there is value in talking to your elders and stuff like that, like the sewing class. I would love to learn how to sew. I want to learn how to sew so bad. I would love to learn how to do a lot of housework stuff domesticated, womanly stuff I would love to learn, right? But, you know, and that is something that I would have to learn from someone older. But if I learn that skill, I'm going to take skill back to other young people, right? The ones who are a little closed off from listening to their elders because of comments that they've endured during childhood or just that gap. I'm the person who bridges that gap. I will take whatever I learned from the wise people, my elders, my village of people, and I bring it back. So voices like mine, voices of other young people in this community that are active and really hustling out here every day to make sure that we're heard, you got to uplift those. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that.
And we adults have to learn how to listen. This is my child, and I have gotten to work because I have listened to her, and I respect her as a professional in what she does. Yeah. And a lot of times we as adults, the 40-plus crowd, we don't listen the best to the young people, and they have the ideas. They are the movement. Yeah. We need to support them and show them that we are behind them, because they're going to lead us. Yeah. We're going to sit down, and they're going to take over.
Absolutely. And it's about passing the torch. Ms. Mouton has something. And then we want to wrap this up. And I know we went over what we said. I think it's been a rich conversation. We do have food. I'm starving, and so I know other people are as well. Here, Ms. Mouton.
Just to piggyback off of Bonika and Kyron, it's also like my grandfather has worked since he was 5 years old. He did paper trail. He took care of his family when he was living with his mom and his siblings. He took care of my grandma and my mom and my uncle, and he even takes care of me and my brother and my cousin to this day. But my grandpa doesn't know how to sit down. He comes from that old school generation where you have to keep moving, you have to keep working. He would go insane if he sat down. Yeah. He's been retired for Post. I think he retired when I was 2. He worked there 30 years. And still to this day, umpires and referees. And he has a pacemaker. And I keep telling him, Grandpa, you're getting older. You're not a spring chicken anymore. My brother is very much capable of taking care of the yard. He barely let him help out, but he doesn't let him do it. And granted, I don't like yard work, but if I have to, I'll get out there and help. I don't want to, but that's not for me. But it also takes the elderly to know when to sit down and to let us take the reins. I know you guys you've ran this race and you've been through it all. Teach us that. But don't take control of it.
It's nice to hear from you say that.
Thank you.
But how many young people think like you two do?
No, you're right.
That's
You're
very
right.
true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yes.
Fortunately enough, I was raised properly, so there's the difference. We also need parents to raise their kids up in the way that they need to be taught, but that's a different topic that I'm not going to get into.
And we really got to keep creating platforms to be able to reach those type of kids. Just not giving up. To be honest, I was one of those kids. I was hard-headed. It took me I had to learn my lessons the hard way. But there was never, again, any platforms that I feel that was in place to really talk to me in the way that I needed. And so that's what we're trying to, do here, is continue to create these platforms and these ways to be able to get through to the youth. Yes.
I've noticed that there's a lot of younger folks, maybe the older folks need to put out the truth about the coronavirus. Because my daughter, she don't want to take the vaccine. When she came and told me why, I said, where'd you hear that at? It's just bizarre stuff that they're taking and they're hearing on the internet. Stuff like that. Maybe they need to know the real truth about the vaccines,
Yeah.
They don't really know.
Okay. All right. We got another comment back there, Mr. Alicia Johnson.
I was
the
gonna
Urban League.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir. Enjoy the conversation. I was thinking.
Excuse me, I'm going to interrupt you. Dr. Ellie Johnson. Let me put some respect on that.
Thank you. Thank you. I was thinking this when Commissioner Reynolds was talking, and then when the gentleman just said this about his daughter, I just wanted to share this just for food for thought, maybe for another conversation. So I'm fully vaccinated, but I didn't get vaccinated because I believed in vaccinations. And I think that we often, sometimes we get really engulfed by what we believe, and we believe everybody should believe what we believe, or it's just like common sense. Like, I don't believe, I'm gonna be honest, I don't believe that the vaccine keeps us safe. But the only reason why I got vaccinated was because I was told, in all transparency, that I wouldn't be able to go to Israel. And so I had a trip to Israel, and when I got the email that said I couldn't go to Israel, the next day I was at Felposh and I got fully vaccinated.
Family fair.
Family fair, yeah, Felposh. And so I just feel like, as we're looking to do outreach to the community, we want to get our community vaccinated. I think we should consider thinking a little more deeply from the standpoint of the people that we want vaccinated. And sometimes we have to divorce ourselves from our ideology and our logic and really get into the minds of others, because if my trip to Israel hadn't been threatened, I would have never got vaccinated. Never. And so I'm saying that to just be transparent and maybe help us to think differently about how we do outreach. I think it's important. I think that our community has been impacted. I don't think it's the end. I still don't believe in the vaccine, but but I do support to the greater extent what the community is trying to do. And I feel like if we really want to get our community vaccinated, we got to step out of our shoes and step into other people's shoes to create an effective reason.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Real quick, we'll take one more comment, and then again we'll close up. We want to keep everyone here all night. Start eating this food, and so we'll take this last comment from this young lady.
My youngest son and his wife live with me, and he's been reading stuff on the internet since it started. And he says the government is trying to control us. It's not real, and all these people are dying from other complications. And so he won't get the vaccination. His wife and I both have, but she hasn't even told him that she's got it. That she's got it. But he insists that God doesn't want us putting that stuff in our bodies because the internet is telling him it's full of mercury, it's full of all kinds of stuff that's going to kill us. And there's some ministers on the internet that are telling people that, it's just the government trying to tell us what to do.
Yes.
And I worry about him, and I pray for him that he doesn't get this variant that's coming along with the COVID. So all I can do is pray. That's all you can do when people they're saying on the news that a lot of, maybe 20% of young adults in America are not going to get it. So are not going to get the shot. So
thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Again, thank you everyone again for coming out. Is there? Thank you. Yep, absolutely. Thank you. We will be having more of these. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
So, just so everyone knows, the ARPA meeting for the $31 million that is coming in for those ARPA funds, that is going to, us commissioners are filling out our availability for a workshop. That will be scheduled coming in July. And you had asked the question, Damon, what would change look like in 6 months if we came back together? And change would be having those ARPA dollars funding community projects like we've discussed this evening. And so I'm going to issue a challenge. I don't know if I can, but I am.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
We're probably going to have that meeting virtually. If we have it in person, then I challenge you to be there in person. But I challenge the people in this room that have spoken up about funding youth centers and youth programs, Habitat for Humanity, those partnerships. Well, that ARPA money can be spent on things like that. That ARPA money can be spent on arts and culture and other things when we're talking about our community and how we can get involved and what's going to keep people or bring people. Get on, email us. Get on and voice a comment. Email, mail, call into the city managers. Make your voices heard. And if you email me and say, I want this read, I will read it for you. I will do what needs to be done. Bunika will. Carla will. I already said it, so they have to. It's on record now. So hold that money accountable. This is not our money. This is your money. And it needs to be spent. How do you want it spent? Speak up and speak out, because if you don't, you know who's going to make the decision. The people who show up. So if you showed up tonight, I challenge you to show up for that meeting and make your voices heard, because it needs to happen.
Thank you for that. And what does the ARC stand for? That's an acronym?
The American Rescue Plan Action. Yes, Plan Act. So those are the dollars that the federal government made available to cities. And based on the calculation, Battle Creek is getting about $30 million. And we are going to have a workshop as a commission to decide how to fund those over the account of time. And so we're also going to have a PBB workshop, which is the priority-based budgeting workshop. And this is how we budget your city. Again, you have spoken in a survey, if you took it, keep us accountable. How do you want your money spent? It's your money.
And those meetings are being held live on Facebook, and you can jump on and access Vision, and you can jump on there and put your questions in there, and we'll try and answer. A lot of us commissioners watch the live feed as we're going, and we're allowed to bring those questions up. So if you plug into that on the City of Battle Creek's page, you can definitely get in there and make your comments and ask your questions, and we'll make sure you get answers for it.
Yes, thank you.
So that hasn't been set yet, but once it's set, the city will post it, and it will be publicly posted. I will make sure I get with Damon or whoever, make sure that that's posted here as well. But all of those meetings are very, very important because, we're making decisions, and we need to make decisions, and hear from folks. And we need to hear from folks that don't necessarily always get heard.
Yes.
And a lot of the surveys were sent to households that don't look like yours. So.
Yes, of that survey, I'm going to go off. Nope. Because of the surveys, do you know how many were BIPOC? Like 10%.
Wow.
Our community is over 10% BIPOC. Our community is over 40% on free, reduced, or low income base on the, hang on. Now I'm just getting all flustered. The survey that does, thank you, Alice survey. Yes, so our community needs these funds spent, and we just need to hear from people, and we have to stop letting it be the people who already are heard.
Yes, thank you.
I represent the church on the east side, St. Mark's CME. What you're saying, we have not heard. And I'm here listening to everything. Hadn't said a word because I was listening, and I'm thankful for Damon Brown and R.I.S.E for putting this on. But I know a lot of the folks that are in here are from the Washington Heights community. Very few people are here from the post-Franklin community, and we're part of Ward 2, if I'm not mistaken. And so I would dare tell you that there are a lot of things going on over on that side of Ward 2. A lot of funding is missing or being bypassed, the post-Franklin area. A lot of decisions are being made without the key leaders, or I would even say pastors who are leaders, being present. There's no notification, and I'm not blaming any of our council leaders. I'm blaming the other folks who are making sure, who are really holding the purse strings and trying to bypass folk. And so I accept your challenge. I accept your challenge. You let me know. I'll be there, or I'll have a representative to be there, and we will be loud and proud. Thank you.
Great. We have another comment right here. And for those that may not know, I know the last time we checked, according to the Alice report, Washington Heights community is 27% below the federal poverty level. And post-Franklin, I believe, was 26% below the federal poverty level, according to the Alice report. Yes. Yes. So.
I just have one question since the commissioners are here. There is a structure downtown behind the post office. It's called the Rink. I was wondering, is that private or is that public property? Yeah. And how is it being used, and is it profitable?
And access, yes, thank you.
It's private.
Okay.
So the city sold that to someone privately? Yes. And the reason I'm asking is because you don't see any activity going on there. And one of the things that our community likes to do is to skate.
Yeah.
And we don't have that opportunity in this community, but I don't understand why the Rink is functioning, but you just said it was private, so that means it has to be sold, I guess. But, I mean... That's my point.
Yeah.
Well, that's my point. It's an ice arena,
Yeah.
and right, and they could make that arena ice and regular skating.
Yeah.
But I was just wondering because I remember when it was put up. I remember when the skate rink that we skated at was shut down and bought, and the property was bought and sold. And all these people that are saying, yeah, they remember too.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's why I was asking. So I don't know if it's private or not, but I knew the commissioners would know.
Yeah.
So.
That's something I was going to follow up on because I was down there today and the fees look a little overgrown. So I was going to follow up if I could.